Hiram Ulysses Grant was born April 27, 1822 in Point Pleasant, Ohio, as the son of Hannah Simpson and Jesse Root Grant, a tanner, or a leather worker. Growing up in Georgetown, Ohio, he despised working around his family tannery. Instead, as a true bumpkin would, he did chores around his family farmland and became quite skilled at handling horses. He didn't care much for a military lifestyle, but with pressure from his father and the existential dread from the realization that the only other option was no further education, he begrudgingly agreed to attend West Point. On his application, he reversed his name, possibly to avoid the embarrassment and ridicule of having the acronym HUG embroidered on his uniform. An error on his congressional appointment listed him as Ulysses S. Grant, a name he would later accept officially, and brought upon numerous nicknames such as U.S. Grant or Uncle Sam Grant. He wasn't a particularly good student, graduating 21st out of a class of 39, and his general demeanor wasn't great either. He was shoddy and sloppily wore his uniform, truly a husk of military bearing. He did, however, excel at horsemanship, and was considerably good at math. So much so that he expressed that he could probably teach better than the instructors there. Not in vanity, of course. After graduation, he was stationed near St. Louis, Missouri, where he got the hots for a maiden by the name of Julia Boggs Dent, and it just so happened that she was the sister of his roommate at West Point. Grant went on to serve in the Mexican-American War from 1846 to 1848 under General Zachary Taylor. On July 5, 1852, he left his wife and children behind to sail to New York to the Pacific coast and pursue business ventures that ultimately failed. The first of many. He later resigned from the Army on April 11, 1854. Whether or not this was influenced by his heavy fondness for alcoholic beverages is uncertain. He was reportedly known to often drink his sorrows away during his lonely years on the Pacific coast. Understandable either way, but for legal reasons, I cannot speak further on the matter. Afterwards, he settled on the Dent's estate in Whitehaven, Missouri, and began farming the 80 acres of land given to Julia by her father. This farming escapade also failed. He then tried to enter a real estate partnership in St. Louis in 1959. And whoop-de-doo, any idea what happened? Yeah, he failed. Again. He thus went full circle and joined his father's leather goods business, hopefully learning a lesson about ambitious business ventures. He didn't. While working there during the outbreak of the Civil War in 1861, he was appointed by the governor to command a volunteer regiment. On February 16th, Grant and his troops won the first major Union victory of the war on the Cumberland River in Tennessee at Fort Donelson. When the garrison's commander, General Simon B. Buckner, surrendered, he requested the Union's terms, to which Grant replied, This absolutely raw line gave him yet another nickname to add to his collection: Unconditional Surrender Grant. At Shiloh Church, on April 6th and 7th, Grant fought one of the bloodiest battles in the West. He was able to repel an unexpected Confederate attack, but the public backlash from the amount of Union soldiers lost damaged his reputation. Many demands were made for his removal, but Lincoln fended them off, saying, "I cannot spare this man. He fights." In March of 1864, he was appointed lieutenant general and given command of all U.S. armies. He directed his right-hand man, William Sherman, to drive through the South while he pinned down General Robert Lee's army at Petersburg near Richmond, Virginia. On April 9, 1865, Lee surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse, making Grant a national hero. In 1868, Grant was nominated for the presidency with a focus on the reconstruction of the North and South and protecting the civil rights of newly freed black slaves. Though he was an honest man, he had corrupt associates that tarnished his reputation with scandals. After his presidency, Grant became a lawyer in a financial firm. It promptly went bankrupt and collapsed in 1884. In order to pay off his debts and provide for his family, he began to write memoirs of his life. Despite his awful throat pain that was later diagnosed as cancer, He signed a contract with his friend Mark Twain to publish the memoirs. The memoirs grossed $450,000, or about $12,963,403 today. Grant died soon after completing the last page in 1885. While working